It's Banjo here. I'm just getting ready for jujitsu. I don't know why talking on the microphone makes me feel so nervous. I don't normally breathe this loudly or sound like this. But hey, I'm just getting used to it. Uh, I need to go buy some more of that white medical tape stuff. I wonder if I could use duct tape. But anyways, I saw this video a couple of days ago, and it really bothered me for a few reasons, and we'll talk about it along the way. I mentioned in my previous video that I myself am obese. Just a little more background on that. All through high school, I did a lot of heavy weightlifting. I mean, extremely heavy. We used to talk about bending the bar, and man, I remember when I got to benching two plates, 245s on each side, um, sophomore year, and then every like month from there, we just try to go up 10 pounds till. Anyways, long story short, coming out of high school, I was walking at about 220. I was pretty swole, but at the same time, I had a lot of fat. I had a poor diet. In college, I got down to about 190, and man, it was having a six pack was awesome. But then I got hit by a car, and I gained a lot of weight, and now I'm currently at around 240, which is a lot more than we used to weigh in high school. I've been working out a lot. I'm running. I'm exercising, all these things. But anyways, long story short, I'm gonna tell you right now that me at 190, I was so much healthier and so much better than me at 240. I'm trying to get back down to 190, and it's going well. Uh, I have a very strict diet that I stick to, a lot of discipline. But anyways, it seems that a lot of people are pushing forward this just really bad lifestyles and celebrating really bad lifestyles. And hey, if that's your thing, okay, that's great. But at least try to acknowledge that some of the things you're talking about aren't that good for you. So let's see what she's talking about. Maybe she just triggered me, and that's why I'm just randomly just running my mouth, and I shouldn't be. But let's see what's up.
Thin privilege. Now, it's not a mythical creature or something made up. If you're thin, you have a certain privilege.
Okay, I'm just gonna start off by saying this. I don't like the whole privilege thing. It's a very good way to dismiss any argument. Oh, hey, I don't want to do this thing. Oh, that's because you have this privilege. Hey, I don't want to go there. That's because you have that privilege. Or hey, I got to do this. That's because you have this privilege. Privilege is just a really, really good way of dismissing somebody's argument, and I'm not. And that's not okay. I don't think there's a such thing as thin privilege. As somebody who went from basically thin to obese, the only privileges I lost were nothing. What basically happened to me was that as I gained weight, I lost mobility. I lost the lifestyle I used to have. I became a lot more, I became more difficult. I got depression, which I already had depression. We'll talk about that later. But anyways, point is, it just seems to, again, to me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can explain to me why I'm wrong in a reasonable way. Thin privilege is just a really good way, or just saying any privilege is just a really good way of shutting the conversation down. Because then you don't have to look at the facts. Like, you don't have to look at what's actually going on, what's actually really digging deep inside. So let's see what else she's got.
Or if you're perceived to be thin and healthy in the eyes of society, you have that privilege. So everyday tasks that a thinner person can take for granted, but can leave a plus-size person like myself feel full of anxiety, burden, and upset.
Okay, again, that's when I'm like thin privilege. When I was 190, I was very very flexible, and I had to tie my boots. I wear Doc Martens. I've had the same pair for a long time. I just go to the cobbler, have the soles replaced, and then just march on. Anyways, all I would do, I kid you not, was bend over. Okay, just bend over, like touch your toes, and tie my shoelaces. One hand would tie one shoe, and it was really fun. As soon as I exceeded 220, guess what I couldn't do? And it was kind of depressing because then I'm like, oh man, how am I going to tie my shoelaces? But that was no one's fault but whose fault? My own fault. So now that I'm here and I've been working out, I've been exercising, guess what I'm almost able to do again? Same thing. So right now, I was, I think, at my heaviest. I was almost at 250. Right now, I'm at 240, which is really, really good. And I think I'm just doing so well because even though I haven't lost any weight these past 2 weeks, my clothes fit so much looser. I have a measuring tape where I measure my waist. That's gone down. I used to spend a lot of. I wore size 38 jeans. Yesterday was a big day for me because I wore size 36. That was like such a big deal. And the best part was that I didn't look like I had a massive muffin top just drooping over my the waist. So again, there's a lot of the issues that I had when now as an obese person weren't because of society. They were because of things I caused myself. What's to say I'm gonna do? Move the my shoelaces up to my chest? You know, it doesn't make any sense. A lot of these things were my fault. I caused these things onto myself, and I have to be responsible and accountable for that. So this almost seems like passing the blame to somebody else. Oh, I'm obese. It's your, now you have to revolve around me. That's not how it should work. That's not how it does work. Let's see what else she's got.
And so they jumped along and don't deserve a place in here. So, public transport. What a nightmare for plus size people. Just
Okay. I rode the bus a lot growing up. I'm a trans in Southern California. Whatever that LA one was called, trains, you name it. I rode buses. Guess what? They suck, especially during the summer where everyone is super tight and everything is hot and it's just body odor and elbows and shoulders rubbing against each other. Or I got freaked out once because this old lady's like weird elbow skin rubbed it against my mouth and it got into my mouth and I was like, oh, it's gross. Point is, it sucks for everyone. Now, a little reference. As an obese dude who actually wrote the bus, and I don't like saying, that's like an appeal to authority, I suppose. It's, you just take up more space, unfortunately. That's the thing. And the bus is divided into sections for, what I would say a normal sized person, or what the person would, I suppose, the average size of a person should be. But when you're obese and you're, at least this didn't happen to me, but one of my friends that I hang out with, I'm not going to name him, he used to kind of make fun of the fact that he would droop onto the next two seats over. He was hitting 600 pounds and he needed help. And unfortunately, as I went on my healthy, try to improve my lifestyle, he kind of decided it wasn't for him. And, oh man, his life's just going from bad to worse. But anyways, that's what I'm talking about when I say the world needs to revolve around my mistakes now. No one forced me to gain this weight. It was just me going, oh man, I'm not gonna work out anymore. I'm gonna eat food. I'm not gonna exercise. Oh snap! Now when I sit in the bus and need more space, well, gee, now they gotta give me more space. No, that's not how it works. It's just again, maybe I'm wrong. So please tell me if I'm wrong. Please go ahead and give me, hey, Banjo. Here's what you're not seeing. But to me, it just seems like her passing the buck. You know what you should do? Do what I did. Portion control. Start working out. Start exercising. Because again, there is no such thing as thin privilege. And what she's looking at is fat privilege. She wants the world to revolve around her. And unfortunately, as a guy who, I was, for a few days, I was part of a workout group with a couple of other people who were either anywhere between obese to morbidly obese. And it just seemed like the more I dedicated myself to working out, the more they were like, no, we just hate the fact that the world, it almost seemed like they never were accountable for their stuff and they just wanted to be like that, even though it was bad for them. And they would talk about their back hurting, their knees hurting, you name it. It was terrible. Anyways, let's see what else she's got. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
can you sit in a seat and not be met with signs, huffing, puffing, and someone squirming in the seat next to you, making you feel uncomfortable and knowing that they don't want you to be there? But shopping, can you go into 99.9% of the high street and shop, try on, and take an outfit away that...
I can't do that. I'm not sure if most people can. But even when I was very thin, I have this weird body where my legs are out of proportion, I suppose. So my denims were always like 4 inches longer than they should have been. Point is, I know shopping sucks, but it gets to the point where your body's so big that 3, 4, 5 X's, it eventually the clothing just loses its shape. I remember I was it's really funny because I mess around. I mess with my relative. I tell them that I have booty, and which now that I gained so much weight, I don't. But if I look at I do. Anyways, long story short, as you lose weight, your body actually gets a better shape that is easier to dress. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a guy thing. But when I would put on my suits back when I was 190, I had this really nice sort of V shape going. When I put them now, it almost seemed now that I've lost some weight so I can fit into some of my suits, they still don't quite have that nice, really square sort of V shape. They just have this like how much we just need a lot of fabric look, and it looks, in a sense, it looks baggy on some parts, really tight on other parts. So again, it's because the body just becomes so out of proportion. And that, for the millionth time, it's not the clothing industry or the fashion or modeling industry's fault. That's not their fault. Although I do have some criticisms against them. It's my fault because guess who gained weight? I gained weight. And so guess who has to work out? I have to work out. If I want to fit and look appealing. And that's a thing. And unfortunately, we live in a very visual world. And people do look and go, oh, okay. But anyways, again, let's see what else she's got. Again, but like I said, maybe I'm wrong. So, hey, please tell me if the fashion industry or these clothing makers should really think about, making again, just tell me, hey, like, Banjo, I think that they should care more about this and that, and that's fine. But let me tell you something. It's my mom used to work in fabrics. She was from Mexico. And, when she got here, they had their papers and everything. But either way, because she was an immigrant, long story short, she ended up working on a sewing machine, and turns out that the more fabric you use on something, the price tends to go up, or it doesn't look as. Anyways, long story short, that's what she would say. But now I'm just rambling. So let's see what else she's got.
Same day, I dumped shop on a high street and not actually been able to go and enjoy the experience of shopping. Grabbing something to eat, just think, can you pop into a bakery, pick up a...
I don't want to be mean here. I do not want to be mean. And I repeat, I just do not want to be mean. And I hope I don't come off as mean. But if you're obese, you probably shouldn't be eating donuts. I wish I could go into a store, bakery, and just buy donuts indefinitely. Just on and on, more and more donuts. But guess what? I don't want to get diabetes. The only thing that runs in my family is diabetes. And I don't want to get that, okay? I don't want to have that insulin resistance around the neck, which is like this big old black stripe that goes around your neck. I used to have that. Luckily, I don't have it anymore. I don't want to have sleep apnea. I never really had that. I'm pretty sure there might have been some moments. Check this out. You know what? I'll save the story for later. Maybe it'll be relevant. If not, I'll just say it at the end. But there's many issues that come up with diabetes. I mean, if we pull up the diabetes with obesity, if we pull up the Mayo Clinic, we got the causes, all that good stuff, but all the complications. None of this is really good, and this is what you're causing yourself. Being obese. I love it when whoa, the CD scratched. Anyways, I love it when obese people say, "Oh, I'm healthy. I'm very healthy, but I gotta sit down because my knees hurt. I'm very healthy, but I run out of breath going upstairs." And I'm not saying that being super thin is extremely healthy either. Of course, but for the most part, where I'm from in this country, we don't have a thin problem. We have an obesity problem, and promoting such things isn't always the best idea. As I started working out more, suddenly I can breathe better. Suddenly I can move better. Suddenly I could think better. I wasn't as depressed. I mean, if we go to Wikipedia, same thing. I mean, it's up to you to decide. Maybe you feel that you're at your best as an obese person. Maybe you feel that gaining an extra 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds is good for you. I'm not arguing or saying anything against people who have an extra 9 or 10 pounds, even though I'm telling you right now that's probably not good for you either. Here we go.
Donut and sit there and then enjoy it and not feel that you've met with stays or comments, because even though I'm confident I cannot do that, I've had comments or being stared at. It's just...
I do feel bad for her there. It's not cool when people stare at you. I don't, I understand. I feel for her because there was times where I myself, when I was obese, I'd have little kids stare at me. But you just shake it off. You just shake it off. I can't make a law where it says, hey, nobody's allowed to stare at other people. I'm a person who goes brain dead and just stares at something for minutes because my brain is, I'm daydreaming, and there's been a few times where I'm staring at somebody else on accident and didn't mean anything by it. At the same time, how does she know they're staring at her specifically? She really doesn't. And on the other hand, as somebody who's obese, there was a few times where I would be eating and it would dawn on me, holy crap, why am I eating this third or fourth bowl of spaghetti? I didn't even eat the second one. I didn't even eat most of the first one. I didn't eat that much food. It was not necessary. And you know what? My parents would tell me the same thing. Hey, like there was times where we were just watching you eat, and we couldn't believe you were eating so much, and we didn't know. So there's many reasons why people stare, but either way, it's not cool to stare. So, I understand where she's coming from there.
Really uncomfortable, you just can't enjoy the moment. Going to the doctors, are you able to go and be seen and diagnose what is actually wrong with you, or is the appointment turned into a weigh-in session and how you can improve your diet and lose weight, and you're walking away with no prescription or no answers to what is actually wrong with you? And
Let's just keep watching it.
I actually avoid going to the doctors now.
Okay, first of all, if you have the ability to, don't avoid going to the doctors. Secondly, I didn't have this issue, but I'm gonna share a little anecdote, I suppose. I had a friend who was very obese, pushing about 400 pounds, a little over. He was diagnosed with asthma. Apparently, he didn't have it as a child. He said they just never found it when he was growing up. It so happened he developed asthma when he was 30 years old. He gets on keto. He starts running. His reason behind it was because he wanted to start dating. He'd never had a date, not even a kiss. And I was like, okay, I guess that's what motivates him. Within a few months, his asthma disappears. No reason, nobody knows why. It just vanishes. I like to think, like he does, that it has something to do with his excess body fat. Uh, at the same time, you used to mention how he had sleep apnea, and that also goes away. He doesn't snore as much as he when what do you call it when he would sleep. And it's funny because he would pass out anywhere. He just fall asleep whenever. Turns out, yeah, he did stop snoring. He's still working out. He's lost quite a bit of weight. I think he's almost under the 300, so he's around like 305, and he's working really really hard. And guess what? Every time he loses weight, he gets just that much healthier. There's a lot less problems with him. For me, for instance, my knees and lower back used to hurt. So I go to the doctor. The doctor says, "You look fine." And then I say to her, "It's my weight, isn't it?" And she goes, "Most likely." So I lost a couple of pounds. Not 20, not 30, not 40 pounds. I lost 6 pounds. 6 pounds. Suddenly, my lower back stops hurting. It just stops. I lose a few more pounds. So by that month, I was like around, I dropped. I don't remember how many pounds I dropped around that month. This was a couple. Anyways, long story short, we get to today, and guess what does not hurt? My knees don't hurt. My back doesn't hurt. My chest doesn't hurt. My head doesn't hurt. Suddenly, because of my weight loss, all this pain is gone. Now, I'm not saying that if you're obese and you have, let's say, your knee hurts, I'm not saying it can't be a torn something or a dislocated kneecap. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for the most part, if you walk into the doctor and you're obese and you think that you're going to be healthy walking out, you're wrong. Because your medical condition, your medical problem is your obesity, your excess body fat. Right now, I'm not thin. A lot of people when they look at me, they go, "Whoa, you look like one of those guys that lifts a lot of weights." That's true, and I'm really happy that I look like that. But guess what? I'm still obese. I still have a lot of body fat. And me saying, "Oh, the doctor just doesn't diagnose me correctly," or "the doctor doesn't care," that's wrong. That's missing the point. That's missing the point. You're a doctor should be honest with you, and if you walk in overweight, the doctor should be like, "Yo, your biggest problem is you're overweight. Hey doc, I can't really sleep at night." Or, "Hey doc, my head's always hurting. High blood pressure. Can you just give me some meds?" "Well, I could, but hey, do you want to work out instead?" "Yo doc, why can't I sleep well at night? Why am I always this?" "Well, gee, guess what, buddy? Maybe, just maybe, it's your body weight." Same thing, right? And this one's really big for me because I did have depression. I was in a car crash, a head injury, TBI, and one thing that came out of it was depression. But as I gained weight, I felt worse, worse, and worse. But then as I started losing weight and working out, I felt better, better, better. So anyways. But hey, that's just me. If you have anything you want to show me that says otherwise, maybe some people out there are extremely healthy being obese. Maybe I don't know. Again, I don't know. Just feel free to show me. I'm more than happy to listen to what you have to say. But again, please be reasonable about it.
Just look at like don't feel like I'm taken seriously. And let me stop you right there and say that healthy and thinner people deserve this privilege, because this whole thing actually has nothing to do with anybody's health. Just because someone's smaller, just in the same way as someone's bigger, there's no way that you could diagnose someone's health just by looking at them. You wouldn't go up to a thin person or comment on pictures listing off all the health problems that they may or may not have. Yet again, another privilege. So I can put a picture up on Instagram and I'm listed with everything that's wrong with me. Of course, none of it is true because nothing's wrong with me.
Okay, so it's kind of funny when I post a picture on Instagram, nobody cares, except for that one guy. But anyways, there is something wrong with you, just like there's something wrong with me, and it's called obesity. Cognitive dissonance, I suppose, where you think you're healthy even though you're obviously overweight. And I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm saying this as somebody who himself is obese, somebody who was pre-diabetic, somebody who would have to basically sleep in a sitting position because there was nights where I just couldn't breathe. Somebody who had headaches because guess what? Cholesterol is bad for you. I'm just repeating myself now. But here's the thing. I'll put it like this. One, nobody should be trolling you online if you're putting up a picture of you and your family having a good time. The last thing you want to say is go kill yourself. You know you shouldn't be getting trolled. Oh man, this room is hot. But at the same time, you have to stop lying to yourself and say, hey, I'm healthy. Because the reality is that you are not. I mean, maybe there's nothing wrong with your medical. You look at your medical records and you're good to go. Hey, no cholesterol, no this, no that. But at the end of the day, you're causing damage to your knees, your lower back, your way of life. And I'm sorry, guys, but I have to say this. The more body fat I lose that I do not need, the better my life becomes. The more flexible I am, the longer I can stand, the easier it's to sleep. I mean, right now, sleeping kind of sucks because my hand and my shoulder, but it's easier to sleep. The more, and for you fellas out there, yeah, the ladies like it, and I don't blame them. You know, because I like it too. You actually become a person that people want to be around. And what really sucks for me the most is the fact that as I started losing weight, I did lose quite a few friends because not many of them, and when I say not many, I mean a lot of them, did not feel that changing their lifestyle was necessary, and that's okay. More power to them. But what happened was many of them were like, "Hey, why are you losing weight? You shouldn't be trying to lose weight. Do you just like hate yourself? You know?" So, and the best part for me is that the more weight I lost, the clearer my thinking is. You know, the more people want to hang around me, not because I'm thin, but because guess what? I can do more things now. I noticed one thing that when I was extremely overweight, even though I was always happy and jolly and, you know, really nice guy, or as quote unquote what people said was you're really fun to be around, there was times where I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm too tired. And I would just get grumpy and just really down, and people don't like to be around that. So again, I get what you're saying, but this whole idea of I'm obese but I'm healthy, that's nonsense. Let's see what else she has to say.
Before you roll your eyes at the idea of thin privilege, try putting yourself in someone else's shoes and just looking at it from their point of view, how it could affect them or how it could make them feel. I'm not having to go at thin people at all, but just simply acknowledging there is the privilege that society has unfortunately put on people who are thinner.
Yeah, again, there is no privilege. What happens is as the more weight you gain, the more burden you have to carry. And it's a burden that you don't have to carry. So what happens is this. A lot of obese people, unfortunately, specifically people like her, start to say, hey, you know what? Instead of doing the right thing and losing weight, I'm going to force the world around me to bend to my need. Because it's so much easier to do that than to say, gee, I need to lose weight. Because one of the things that happens, in my experience, maybe I'm wrong, as I was losing weight was I had to sit back and say, okay, why did I gain so much weight? What was the issue? You know, in addressing that, he kind of realized, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm kind of addicted to food. Or maybe I am addicted to food. Or maybe I use food as a coping mechanism. I met a young lady who was severely obese, and I say was because she did have gastric bypass surgery, or I think that's what it's called. And I asked her, what's up? What took her so long? She was much older than I was. She said, oh, and she said in that quote, she goes, you know, Unfortunately, some traumatic situations happened to her when she was younger, which was really sad. But she also realized that her body fat became her identity because she didn't really have much going for her because she was so depressed. So she began to address her depression. She kind of began to like find her new person. And I'm not saying that that's the case for every overweight person, but what I'm saying is this: it's much easier to tell somebody, "Hey, you know what? Society should be ashamed of themselves and they should love me because I'm fat," than it is to say this: "I need to lose weight because that's healthy." So, and again, I don't believe in thin privilege. I just think a lot of obese people like myself put on an unnecessary burden. We pick up a burden that we don't have to from our poor choices and sometimes from our really, really bad coping mechanisms. Let's see what else she has to say.
Just to combat it, just acknowledge it, be accepting of anybody of any size, and don't fall into what society and the media are trying to tell us that's right or wrong. There are bigger people in the world, there are smaller people in the world, celebrating everybody's different.
She's right. There are bigger people in the world. There are smaller people in the world. That's correct. Amongst the Hispanic community, I'm considered a giant. Amongst other communities, I'm considered extremely short. One of my friends from Japan pointed out that, he was one of the taller guys he's ever seen. And then my buddy, who I'm not gonna name, for privacy reasons, who was a little over 6 feet, he was like, "Whoa, that guy's massive." And then for some reason, I thought people in Japan were massive too. But anyways, she's right. I agree with her 100%. Some people are smaller, some people are bigger. That's not the issue. The issue here is this: obesity versus not being obese. One more time: obesity versus not being obese. And it's not good. The moment you stapled on 20 extra pounds onto your body, 30, 40, I can't celebrate that because, in a way, kind of like myself, it's like watching you hurt yourself. It's just why, and I can't celebrate that. I'm sorry, and I think she's wrong there. I'm not gonna celebrate somebody who's extremely obese and they want to be paraded around because that's not good. That's not a healthy lifestyle. Um, Looking at this video and hearing some other people talk and reading some comments, I came across healthy at every size, and I disagree with that. I wasn't healthy at every size. I would argue it was my healthiest when I was at around 185 because that's when I was lifting my heaviest, I was running my fastest, and I was extremely fit. And I probably, at my height, I should probably be weighing somewhere closer to, I think, much less than that. And I say, okay, sure, if you mean that way, then why not? But guess what? I wasn't healthy at 200 or 210 or 220, 230, 240, 250. I wasn't healthy in any of those sizes. So no, you can't be healthy at every size. And I can't celebrate people who are extremely obese because, like myself, it's like watching you hurt yourself, and I can't do that. Anyways,
Everybody being kind to one another regardless of your size.
yeah, I totally agree with her on that. You should just be kind to everyone regardless of size, and that's great. Yeah, be kind to them. Do that. Be kind to everyone regardless of size. But I can't celebrate you for it. Hey, being kind is this. I come up to somebody who's obese, or in my example, I'm an obese guy. I drop something, I struggle to pick it up. Somebody helps me pick it up. Cool, that's kindness. But I wouldn't want somebody to be like, "Yeah, you're doing the right thing." I don't want somebody to celebrate me for that. "Yeah, you're doing the right thing. You're obese. That's good. Keep eating." Because that's just bad for me. That's like watching somebody hurt themselves. Food, think of food as like a drug. And you're just eating. It's like watching somebody just take this drug over and over and over again until their body says, "You know what, dude, we're done. Let's just have a heart attack." You know, let's look at some quality of life. May be diminished. I would say will be diminished. Let's see. Do things, participate, enjoy. This is true right there. This is true. Let's see. You may not be able to do things you used to, such as participating in enjoyable activities. You may avoid public places. This is also true. Ooh. This was also true. Not for me in the sense that I didn't want to deal with the hassle of going with other people. Turns out I'm just antisocial in that way. To other people, it's just the shame of like, oh, look what I did to my body, which is unfortunate. The shame of look what I did to my body, which is unfortunate, but hey. So let's see. Overweight relationships may include depression, disability, sexual problems, shame and guilt, social isolation, low work and achievement. And these are things you don't want. And it seems obvious, but I really don't like the fact that we just keep celebrating this part of humanity. It's not good. It's bad. It every time I talk to somebody, I don't talk. Okay, so true story. I don't talk to these people anymore. But I told them, hey guys, I've lost quite a bit of weight, and I can run, and I'm so proud of this fact because I was running on a treadmill. I could run for an hour without stopping. And their question was, why do you want to lose weight? And my answer was, because I want to sleep. I couldn't think of what else to say, but that was the truth. I was just so exhausted. And they all seemed so shocked, like, really? So let's see, prevention. Exercising regularly. That seems pretty easy. Follow a healthy eating plan. Honestly, portion control works. It works. It works for me. I'm pretty sure it'll work for all of you. I've tried all sorts of diets. Here's the thing. Most diets work as long as you're consistent and they're reasonable. Avoid food that traps you to cause eating. For me it was so know and avoid the food traps that cause you to eat. Identify situations that trigger out of control eating. For me, it was boredom. I had to go to physical therapy when I was in the car crash. So what do? You eat, but you can't lift heavy. And instead of going for walks or doing stuff like that or going for longer walks, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna eat more snacks, more food, and that was bad for me. For me now, it's boredom. Now that I have a lot of free time and I have a pretty, I've worked really hard for the things I have. I'm really happy for that. It's boredom. So what I do instead of being bored, I'll pick up a book. I'll do this podcast. I'll do other things. This one too. For me, I don't monitor my weight so much as measure my body. So I'll take measurements, and it's really really cool. And consistency. Consistency, man. The more consistent you are, the better it's for you. But again, there's no such thing as thin privilege. And I think it's really bad to celebrate obesity. But I agree with the fact that we shouldn't be putting people down for where they are physically. Anyways, tell me what you think. I'll catch y'all later. I gotta go to jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna tape my hand up and I'll see how this goes. Take it easy, guys. See y'all next time.